on rape with Lawyer Tosin Taiwo. Last episode we discussed the definition of rape from a legal perspective, but this episode we are diving deep. I'm sure you enjoyed the last one. Today's episode will be treating how best one could gather evidence on rape. What are the steps for you to do as a lady that you are involved or you've been a victim in this act? So join us in the studio again. I'm very sure you will learn a lot from this interesting series. Thank you. I'm sure they can have Wow. Okay, so this moves us to the next question. I have a lawyer, my friend in school, who's Ada, happens to be a lawyer. So she told me that Ada instructed her that once she finds herself in such a situation, the first thing she has to do is to snap herself, snap pictures of herself, just as evidence and everything. So I see this gathering evidences towards rape so ambiguous. So I want to ask you a direct question towards that in that respect, that how best can one gather evidences to support justice for rape?
Yeah, right. In our criminal justice, the burden of proof is always on the prosecution, and the prosecution will rely on what is being supplied by the victim. You understand? In criminal proceeding, you can on your own initiate an action. You have to go to the police, who would now initiate that action through the court prosecutor. The prosecution would have to be the team to prosecute on your behalf, or the Ministry of the Counsel from the Ministry of Justice sometimes will take those matters up. So, but in criminal proceedings, burden of proof is always on the person that's alleging. And if the burden of proof is on you, then that means that you must meet the requirement of the law before every offence has its ingredients that you must establish to arrive at to help the court arrive at a decision. And when we are saying that, number one, for the offence of rape, it must have been committed on a girl or a woman without consent, and they must have been violated. That means that a man cannot come up to say, like someone like Bobisky, cannot come up to say, I've been raped, stand. Definitely law would discard it. But gathering evidence, number one, if you have alleged rape and you have not gone ahead to have someone who is medically inclined to help preserve those evidence that would help in terms of medical line. But the first point of call is actually the police anyway. Like we said earlier, rape incidents happen behind doors. And that means that it's quite difficult for you to get clips of how the incident was happening.
Yes.
Unless the environment has CCTV cameras that could resort to. But aside from that, you can't start cameraing yourself. It's not possible. But what you do, the first thing we always advise a rape victim to do is to go straight to the police station. Lodge a complaint first. The duties for the police is to gather information, to gather evidence. It's the duty of it. We also have a duty in that line as private citizens, but for prosecution purposes, the police is saddled with that responsibility, and that is why it is the first point of call. Whoever we want, some people, you are raped, she runs to the toilet, wash the place. You have disrupted. You have spoiled the whole. The evidence. And because of stigmatization, also it's difficult for some people. They just want the whole thing to go by. But the truth is that for you to get justice, you must also help the process of justice. And when you're raped, The first point of call, because there is no way civil semen stay in woman body for a long while. It does not disappear. It's just not water that will wash away. It's always there. So within hours, even, but I wouldn't know how medically right it is, but some people say it will still be there for the next 6, even 24 hours if you don't wash it away. But why not take action now? Because action delayed, definitely you are missing something out, because there's no way if you don't act promptly, something will miss out along the line. So for rape, to gather evidence, you need that place where you have said you have been violated must be kept intact for examination purposes. Okay. It is not the police that will examine. No. That happens again. You will see some people go report the offense of rape, and the police will now start saying, let us see the place. It is totally wrong. They don't have such right. It is not bruises that they would know, okay, let us see where you have been, someone that assaulted you. This is somewhere that is private. Unfortunately, they have been violated. But for you to get justice, you must follow a due process. You lodge a complaint with the police. The police will issue a medical examination request. You will take it to, and it's most important that it should be a government-owned hospital.
Okay. Why?
Thank you. Because it is believed. It is believed. It's not saying that doctors in private hospitals are not. They don't hold patients issue with some form of how can I put it now, privacy. But it is expected that doctors in those hospitals have some form of responsibilities to the government, because they are under government employment, and they believe that because reports coming from them is adjudged to still have it cannot be distorted, cannot, some people will go to the private hospital and want to guide what that doctor is going to write.
Okay. Because
I need that report for what I need. They will just go to the doctor, I need this thing, and they pay for that service. And the doctor, most of them, because don't let me, some of them in private practice are more profit making inclined. They go against the oath of their office. Okay. And you realize that instead of keeping their oath, they don't help the victim to say the truth in some instances. Some of them were not raped. And we have instances where you realize that they were just indecently assaulted, and they create rape out of it. And you realize the doctor wrote the report. And at the point where you now tell the doctor to produce samples of what he picked, okay, the victim said, I will take responsibility even because they have a way to test the matching. Samples have been taken, they match it up, and they know whether they will take samples from me, and they match it up with what you have been taking to know whether it came from me. But where you can't even, they allege rape, and they can't even produce samples that was extracted to now have it matched up with mine to know whether I did rape this person indeed or not. And with that, so but why it must be government hospitals? Even when you have employment opportunities with this government, they ask you to go to government hospitals for your medicals. You can't go to private hospitals. They ask you to go to government hospitals for your medicals.
Because of the process that has been established.
Exactly.
The government trusts the process they are established.
You're welcome back to the studio. You've listened to Lawyer Tosin Taiwo on the processes for you to follow as a lady once you have been involved in this house. And do not forget one cogent point, please. Ensure you involve at that time and get samples of semen. Try to go to a government-owned hospital. You could see the reasons he gave, and those things that the judges would weigh, the pros and cons they would weigh in the argument that would be that the pros one that will be presented to the judge in the courtroom. So please do not skip any of this process. And this will lead us to another interesting question of the next episode. Can a man rape his own wife? I'm very sure you don't want to miss it.